Daniel.
Hi, Megan. And Tonalli.
And Tonalli, what's up? What's good? So we are redoing Daniel Levin's episode for Arts Television.
Yeah, I'm actually glad that we redid it. I feel like I did a better job, honestly.
Yeah, I definitely... I don't know, there was something about the energy of this episode that was very different from the first time we recorded.
Yeah.
And it felt more at home, and it seems more personal to you.
Yeah, this is home. I spent like so much time of my life here, so it's just like I'm always here, so it's good.
That
it helps.
Good.
It helps with like doing music in here, whether it's like producing or like rehearsing or performing. It just makes it so much more natural.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, how important is it to feel natural in a space where you can cultivate your music?
It's like is very, very important. Like right now we're like, this is like being shot, like we're underground. We're like hidden. It's cool here. It's like quiet. And not gonna lie, like I spend a lot of nights here. Like I sleep here, I wake up here. And yeah, it is kind of important for like the music and like the lifestyle just to be together, you know. Like I actually like waking up to work because I like
wonderful.
my work, you know what I mean? So it's a little bit more natural.
Well, thank you for sharing that and just being so candid, because I know that like, you know, there's such thing as the artist struggle, you know, the starving artist, quote unquote. But it's really good when you have people in the community who can vocalize that and just be open about it.
Definitely.
So I really, really appreciate that.
Of course, yeah. It's like definitely a common issue, like among like all artists, I feel.
Yeah?
Like,
Can you elaborate more so?
Well, I feel like as an artist, like you're definitely always struggling to like get your material out, whether you're sculpting, music, a dancer, even like you're hitting the gym because you're a body sculptor, you know what I mean? Like it's sometimes like hard to like even monetize off that, you know what I mean? Like still having a job, tending to all your relationships, and then like your art is its own personal relationship.
Oh,
like
absolutely.
You know what I mean?
It's
like,
totally a relationship.
It takes emotions out of you, takes money out of you, but it's all a like a trade-off.
Oh,
I feel like
it
you
totally
get back
is.
what you put in, you know?
So let's talk about you.
Yeah, sure. So, well, I performed the 2 songs, and they're both out on all major streaming platforms. I did Matador first, and then I did Sky
That's my
Bison.
favorite from you. To be honest with you, I ended up writing Graduation, which is going to be on my album.
That's right, yeah.
Because I was so inspired the first time I heard you play it acoustically for us.
Thank you.
It was all
awesome.
because of you.
I've heard that song, like bits of it.
Yes,
That's cool.
thank you. I appreciate
But I'm glad it inspired for sure. It's like the job of the song.
Yeah?
Yeah.
There's just so much. It's like a 7-minute song.
It's a 7-minute song. Yeah, it's like 3 verses, but you know, like I feel altogether like the title of the song, like I feel like that's what I wanted to personify, like, you know, bullfighting basically. And I guess what is the bull? You just like listening to the lyrics, but I love that song. Like I wrote it almost like a whole year ago, like bits and bits. And then it's not until now, like recently, that I actually just released it. But doing it acoustic, like the way I just did right now, it's like it's always really fun. It's like very, very simple for me to like play, but it's also like it's like emotional for me as well, just because the outro, I don't feel like a lot of people like really recognize that like right away at the end. I'm just trying to personify almost like being in a mother's position and like seeing her own child like going through some sort of suffering, because like that song I wrote it for like Native children everywhere. Like it's the concept of like being Native and being a child, and like what is the current state of like Native children everywhere, like whether it's brown people here in America, if it's brown people in Libya, like anywhere actually, like there's just a worldwide protest to things. And like children are gonna be like the people leading us in a couple of years from now, you know what I mean? It's the people younger than us, so like that song is for children. Like we're all children, right?
Yeah, we are.
But yeah, it's for us, for the naive people, I guess.
So I like how you were mentioning that in the outro you specifically talk about the role of the mother. Where do you see yourself falling? You know, do you see yourself as the mother? Do you see yourself as one of the children? Where exactly do you fit into this song? And like, what other themes do you talk about in this song that you think everyone should know?
Well, I feel like, you know, again, going back to the end, I did try to like personify like being a mother, especially like the choruses where I'm saying like, where's my baby? People thought it was like a love song, and it's like, it's not a love song. Like, where's my baby? It's like a question of like,
and that's the funny part about songwriting. It's just, a lot of people just assume that you know, we write love songs. And, you know, the most popular songs are love songs, and like don't get me wrong.
That
like,
was the hook though, you know. You know, it's definitely a little catchy when people hear it.
It's definitely catchy. Because then what's really cool is that like songs can take a life of its own, and people have different interpretations of it.
And that's the best part. I want people to do that, you know.
Yeah.
If it's a love song to you during the chorus part, then so be it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's it's like a mom talking to a kid, you know, like, where's my baby, like telling her or him to like don't look back. And I did have like a visual image of like maybe someone being by the border, like waiting out a couple of days with their family and just like having to like look forward, because like right now realistically, like for example Mexico, like a lot of people are coming up here because their own country won't take them, you know. So it's like that's what I wanted to personify in the song. I speak a little Spanish at the end of it, and I'm just basically saying like the soil is always crying. That's what I'm basically saying.
What does that mean to you, that saying?
El país siempre tiene lágrimas means like the soil, the country always has tears, basically. And I'm not from Mexico, I wasn't born there, but I've gone to Mexico many times, like especially from like my earlier years, like 6 through 12. I spent every single summer there with my grandparents. My parents were like over here, so it was literally just like me, my grandparents who I already had like a language barrier with, and just like being exposed like right there and then, like the pueblo where like they were born, like I literally felt like I was living like my mom's life, because like that's what my mom was doing. Like they left them alone in the village to play around, and that's what I did for like all those summers. Being there though, like it just resonated me, because like all the things like going on right now, it's like I feel like they're not happening to me directly, but it's like those people that are being attacked right now, like they look like me, you know, like they look like me and you know, in other places of the world.
Totally,
like,
I get that.
And I think like that's where I empathize the most, is like those kids look like me, and those parents look like my parents, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
they speak what I speak,
and that way like you're giving a voice to the voiceless.
Yeah,
you know, and like I
Definitely.
really appreciate your work, because you know, because it didn't just inspire me to write that particular song for myself. It inspired me to create a socially conscious art that's not only relatable to people, but also like expresses myself and my experiences.
Yeah,
because
definitely,
you know,
it's important.
It is, just because you know we live in a society where people will take their own experiences, or you know they won't see someone else's experiences because they haven't experienced them themselves. So, you know, if it's something that I haven't personally done, then it just doesn't exist. And that's unfortunately the mindset that a lot of people have come into. And, you know, that's not necessarily true, because, you know, what your reality is and what another person's reality is can be completely different.
Yeah. But yeah, that's an important. That's I'm thinking about it right now, like embodying other perspectives, like in your music, and maybe not so much like projecting your own feelings on something all the time and making it about you. You know,
yes,
like,
I completely.
It was good.
Damn, you're definitely one of my favorite local artists.
Thank you. Yeah.
Wow, I learned so much more about that song and about you too. So thank you.
For sure, yeah.
What about the next one?
Sky Bison.
Sky Bison.
Sky Bison,
Yes,
yeah.
I just love that metaphor. What's that saying? Like, there's a lyric that you have that's saying, like, don't let the skies weigh you down.
Oh yeah.
Or heavy skies weigh you down.
Yeah, definitely. It's just make sure the sky is clear, right? And then I talk about like just make sure the coast is clear. That one's just about like honestly just being clear-minded. I wrote that as like a.
What does it mean to be clear-minded to you?
Clear-minded, for me, I think I've spoken about it. Like for me, like thoughts and like words, like thoughts and words, for me is like air. Like I look at everything kind of like elemental, and like that's why I have other tracks called like fire, water, and stuff like that. Just because I wrote those, like I feel like I wrote that song and the two other elements that are out, I wrote them as like instructions for myself. And so like when I wrote Sky Bison, I was focusing just like on mental health, like the act of like expressing your thought. And that's why a lot of people like have asked me in the past, like when they listen to Air, which is like the last part of Sky Bison, there's like no lyrics in it, and it's more of like an instrumental, just because like I wanted that breath, like literally like a breath of air, like at the end for people to, you know, like zone out on the beat. Like I wanted you to zone out and like have your own organic piece of thought to the song, because like that's what Air was.
Wow,
I love instructions.
Yeah, no, I love how your songwriting is very intentional. Like
sure,
anything that you put in, like, has a purpose. Definitely. And sometimes I feel like people make art because they say they want to make art, and not necessarily for, you know, the purpose of that necessarily. Like trying to share a message.
Yeah, definitely. There's always a message for sure. I mean, that's just how I go about it. Like, I was an English major and I was in school, and I was gonna use that to go into pre-law to like use my words to help people, and I just took it like a different route, and I feel like I still implement that idea to this day. Like when I'm writing music, I don't know. It's like really bizarre. I feel like a lot of I hear a lot of people, you know, like do the music for yourself, like do the music because it feels good, and it's like although all that is still 100% relevant.
And it's great because it is like therapeutic.
I do keep my audience in like mind, and I feel like there should be some like even if it's some like one bar, one hard lyric, you know, like there should be something of value for like the person listening.
I agree.
So that was like the goal of Sky Bison, just like keeping a clear mind, and honestly, just like relying on meditative things to make you feel better. Like I'm literally telling you to like take a breath, sit down, cross your legs, and zone out in that song. And any anime fans, like the Sky Bison comes from Avatar. I, like low key, just like at the end of the day, like I love anime.
Which Avatar?
Yeah.
Sorry,
Avatar,
there's so many.
Avatar: The Last Airbender with Aang. You know, like when we're
Not the blue people.
we're taking it back to like Aang, because like I love that series. I grew up with that and Nickelodeon stuff. But Sky Bison's like the animal that Aang rides on. It's the Sky Bison, and he calls him Appa. And I think
That's cool.
he calls
Does that
Appa
mean father in Korean?
Appa? I think it does. Yeah. Appa. Yeah, it means dad. It means dad.
Hey, mother father themes going on.
No, for real. And he calls the Sky Bison saying yip yip. Like that's how you call Appa. And that's like the chorus of the song. I'm saying
That's so
yip
cool.
yip. So yeah.
I just love how your songs like do represent that, like the mother and the father. That's really cool.
For sure.
But like so much more. But you know, essentially, I'm just like
Yeah.
tying it down to that little detail.
Exactly. Surface level stuff, I guess. It's fun to just like make it just for fun's sake. Like the Sky Bison naming it that way was just for fun, you know. I feel like if someone sees that title, they'll think of anime, and like better to have them think of that, you know.
Yeah, definitely. So going beyond surface level in your music, what do you try to write about, and what types of other messages are you trying to reach across, you know, with your audience?
Right off the bat, like I'm trying to become self-aware, like by doing my music already. Like I'm chasing music, and I'm doing music because like I'm trying to become self-aware, and I feel like that's what I generally do the music for already. Like it's just to make people aware of themselves, and like what I mean by that, I feel like we all share like a human spectrum of emotions, right? Like everyone knows what depression feels like to an extent, you know. Everyone knows what it like to be sad, jealous, angry, alone, scared, and like I feel like when I'm feeling one of those things, like it makes me connected to people, and like that's where I feel like I try to draw the bridge. It's like being self-aware of that, like what I'm seeing, like you might have felt, and like you might have felt lost about it, and like the music itself is like me realizing like what I had to do with this feeling, you know.
Wow.
So it has to stay intentional. Like it doesn't have to always be that way. Like don't get me wrong, if I have like a hard beat and I'm just like freestyling, like I'll have fun with it. But like given that like I'm doing my music, I have all the time in the world, and I'm in my own spot, like the writing's definitely gonna take some time. And
Of course, it always takes time.
It's gonna take some time. Yeah.
Well, the funny thing about writing is that, you know, for me at least, like I'll have experiences and then I can just write them like that.
Yeah.
Or sometimes I'll have songs where it'll take me months
to write. Yeah, like I told you with Matador.
And
just took months.
there's no in between.
No, yeah.
I don't understand how that works.
I don't know how that works either, but I've noticed, you know, the ones that take the longest to release are often like one of my like most favorite pieces.
Well, didn't you say you pieced together Matador?
I pieced together Matador, writing a verse in this 1 month, and then honestly like political events happened in that time, and like things became more relevant, just made more sense.
Well, what political events have inspired you to talk about or even like aforementioned in your music?
I don't try to get too political, but it's like like all the stuff with like, you know, Trump building the wall, like that was definitely like a red flag for me early on in this year, well throughout the whole presidency, and even like right now. I just read this morning actually that he's like struggling to get that done. He's struggling to get that done, and I couldn't be any more happier. But that's like one of the things that happened, just the progression of like the wall itself, the progression of like DACA falling apart, and then just like the progression of like even if it wasn't so real, but you know, when there was talk of like ICE raids, you know, there was like a fear among like communities all along the border, and I feel like that was important.
Even in our neighborhood.
Even in our own neighborhood,
Yeah, we're in Santa Ana right now.
I think we're like forgot the term of it, but we're like a sanctuary city, something like that. So we don't necessarily try and help the immigration organizations and stuff like that. But all those little things, they just became more relevant as I wrote that song, and I'm glad that I did wait as long as I did, because the song, for me at least, it grew more relevant as I waited. I almost wanted to wait longer to release it, you know what I mean? But when I was done with it, I was done with it.
So, seeing how your music is now, let's like bring it back from like your beginnings before we talk about the stuff that you're working on, what you're intended to do with future. So, what lessons have you learned when you were younger, just about, you know, creating and putting music out there and such?
As we were saying before, like one of like the lessons is just community. Like for sure, I feel like going into like the music and just making my personal choice to do music, I inevitably ran into community. Like wherever I wanted to post music, the people I wanted to like share my music with, it's like you will find yourself in community, like regardless whether you like it or not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in regards to that, yeah, like when I did start music, maybe like a little bit before that, I could easily say like I was like more of like a vengeful person, spiteful person, angry person, and then just like now I've learned like there's just no need to like burn your bridges, you know, unless like need be, I guess. But like definitely, I just learning how to like not to take anything personal.
Yeah.
Especially like
a lot of people take things personally.
Yeah, this is just like a small community level too, you know. This is just like one community, but I feel like just learning not to take things personally when things don't go your way, especially when, you know, you could be giving support one way and then you're not receiving it, which I feel like is a common like issue. Like you just have to like learn to it's not you don't just do it, you have to learn how to like let that stuff go and still keep, you know,
absolutely
contributing basically.
That's something that I personally have struggled with, just to be completely open about it. When I was first starting out music like more seriously last year, I remember like, you know, playing lineups where people would be going for like the more popular artists at the time, and then like it'd get to my slot and then like people just leave. Or, like people just don't care about stuff, you know, I release, and you know, it's very disheartening. Because, you know, when you're starting off, you're like, oh, like I want the support, I want people to repost my stuff, I want them to like my stuff, I want to attend my shows, you know, and like you have to go out of your way to individually message people, and like,
it's work,
you know, you don't
sometimes.
And you don't necessarily get the love back, and it's frustrating because it's like, well, it doesn't take that much to like share a link, or to like, you know, open a link to watch something, you know. And you know, I used to be in that mindset of like, well, why can't people do this? But then you have to just go back into yourself introspectively and think, well, am I doing exactly, like, am I doing this art because like I want to express myself and because like I have something to share that could be valuable to other people, or am I doing this because, you know, I want the validation? And that's something that, oh my God, I've struggled with for so long.
You will like always come to find out that I feel like people like what they like, you know. And people like what they like. They could be your friend, but they like what they like. You know. You might be wondering like, why didn't like they're the homie, they're the homegirl, like they didn't share my stuff. I'm like, maybe they just don't like it enough. You know? Like,
no,
that's okay. Like that's okay.
That's fine.
You know,
art is so it's subjective.
But I think it's very important, and something like validations, like it's so relevant now. Like I think Instagram, right, is like trying to get rid of like the likes function, and like not so you can't really see the metrics, and I think like a lot of people are like concerned about that, right? But I just feel like that's a pretty good way to kind of neutralize everything.
I think so too.
And just have people calm down. Like don't worry about the likes. Like
just worry about the content, you know. Like having good quality content.
Exactly.
And honestly, like the really funny part is, you know, as my career has progressed, like the less and less I care about that validation, inversely, I get more validation from others.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because you're community building, and you know, you're supporting other people, and in turn they're supporting you. And I'm not saying everybody's gonna reciprocate, but like it's really, really, really wonderful.
It is, yeah. When you do have someone supporting you, you know.
Yeah. And it's because they want to. Yeah. Not because you ask them or beg them to, like, you know, share something or any of that. They just naturally like it, and that's wonderful.
And it makes me think about it too, because like I think there's a difference between like validation and support. I feel like validation is like having someone seek you out and see if it's like right or wrong what you're doing. And I feel like when I get genuine support, it's like these are people who like, regardless of what I'm doing, they're supporting my work because like they support me. And like that's a whole nother type of like support, and it's like that pushes me through, you know.
I like how you put that together. Like there's a difference between validation and support. I feel like that's super important, and that needs to be talked about more in this community. And
your friends who support you don't have to validate you.
Exactly. What is it? I remember someone told me, I forgot who told me, but like you have friends and you have fans, and sometimes you'll have both, which is great. But like that's not necessarily like a fan doesn't have to be a friend, and a friend doesn't have to be a fan.
Exactly.
you know. Did I say that right?
No, yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like you were asking me, like, that's definitely what I learned. It's like letting things go and just like there's a certain flow to things. Don't worry about the validation so much, yeah. It makes the music process actually easier. Like it's so much more less stressful for me now. I'm just trying to do music to like I told you earlier, just to become self-aware of what I can do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, you know, what are these other musical endeavors that will make you more self-aware? Like, who are you working with? What are you passionate about? How are you spending your time right now?
Right now, well, like, right off the bat, like, I want to give a shout-out to Carlton for
Carlton Fresh!
Yeah,
I love that guy!
Yeah, I just stay tuned with him. Yeah, he's like...
Yeah, we are Villain.
Yeah, he's
Function
my older
Presents.
brother. Yeah, for sure,
like,
yeah. He's
a hard-working community builder. I really
yeah.
respect everything he does. So shout out to you, Carlton.
Definitely, yeah.
I really look up to you.
He definitely holds space, you know. Him and the whole function team, like, they hold space for people to do their thing here.
Yeah.
But I'm
absolutely.
working with him on a project that should be coming out next year for his group called Villain. And Villain is it's a duo between him and a producer named Downstance in Maine. And they're just extremely consistent. Like, they are making music all the time, and as far as like Villain goes, I've just been helping Carlton perform more and more. But they are expecting a Villain album in 2020, something like that. I can't say too much about that, but they're definitely trying to work on a lot of Villain material, and I'm just planning to do my thing on the album because I know they need me for like guitars, production, and engineering, and just filling up the space. But Villain should be fun. I'm looking forward to doing like a lot of rock music for that. Basically, 2020 is a lot of rock music with Villain. And I also mentioned too, like, that in 2020 I'm not really concerned about like releases, but I'm more so just trying to look now for, at this point, like more booking and just trying to actually learn like the promotion process right now. I've already like learned how to promote myself already, but 2020 is just about like learning like the business route. This year 2019 was about like just getting more and more shows, releasing more and more material. So other than that, I mean, I have the Villain stuff, and I've been working on your stuff recently, your releases. I just engineered 2 releases for Rudy Six as well, who's with Function Presents.
Very talented.
So yeah, anywhere like people need me for like the engineering, that's always going to be going on like all the time.
That's great,
So
and I'm glad that you say that,
It'll be a fun year.
I love everything you do, and I support everything you do.
Thank you.
Like, I really do.
Likewise, yeah, definitely glad we went all together for sure.
Yeah, I'm really glad that this exists. I'm glad we can create opportunities for each other.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, at the end of the day, like, that's what I want.
Likewise, yeah, definitely, it's important, you know.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Tonalli, behind the lens.
Best friend.
Just to turn it around for once. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, one of these days he'll be in front of the camera.
Yeah, for real. Well, thank you for like the insight, you guys.
Thank you for letting us be here and sharing your amazing music.
Thank you.